This story is on the relationship advice subreddit and was posted by the username ThrowRawPo. I 38M just found out that my brother 19M has been perving on my wife 37F. Background: my brother has been staying with us since lockdown after his university closed. He couldn't stay with our parents because they just sold the house and moved to a one-bedroom apartment, and our sister lives in a different part of the country. He was the oops baby, so I hope that explains the age gap. My wife and I have a 5-bedroom home but currently don't have children yet. We decided to adopt 2 kids in our 40s, so we let him stay here. My brother has always been different. He's a bit of a loner and doesn't have a lot of friends outside of his online group. He's a shy, geeky kid, but he's otherwise all right, or so I thought, when you get to know him. So here's what happened. The Wi-Fi doesn't quite reach my brother's room, so he usually does his schoolwork and other stuff in the dining room. A few nights ago, I was walking to the fridge after waking up in the middle of the night. Wife and I sleep early, and saw my brother working on something out, and as I got closer, I saw a very compromising picture of my wife, cleavage shot as she was gardening. He noticed me and quickly closed the window like he was watching in decency. I was too shell-shocked to say anything at that time, and he just smiled awkwardly and ran to his room with the laptop. When I realized that something was up, I knew I had to find out. The next day, I asked my brother to pick up some groceries and some lunch for us, and while he was away, I went to his room, something I've never done since he moved. And, well, it wasn't pretty. I saw a couple of my wife's bras and some of her panties, which I can only assume he used to pleasure himself. I took his laptop and decided to snoop. I knew his password cause I borrowed his Crunchyroll account to watch this anime my friend recommended. I don't usually watch anime. There I saw some of the most sickening entries I've read. There were pictures of my wife in a towel, her working out, her in compromising positions, etc. All taken without her consent by the looks of it. The fucker even logs every time he touches himself to the image of my wife. The creepiest part? He sometimes listens in on us when we have intercourse. My wife can be a bit loud, but we didn't think it would be a problem since his bedroom was in a different part of the house, guest bedroom. I left the room feeling like I needed a shower. It was absolutely disgusting. Now I don't know what to do. I find myself fighting the urge to pummel him into next week every time I see him. I haven't told my wife yet because I'm 100% sure she will feel violated and disgusted, so I want to find the best solution first before doing so. I so desperately want to kick him out, but he has nowhere else to go. Even if I do, what should I tell my parents? The truth? This will most likely break the family apart. I do plan on telling my wife soon, but if I do, I can almost guarantee she would want nothing to do with him and would never want to visit the family if he's around. I'm so fucking lost right now. Any advice will help. Still fighting the urge to beat my brother to a bloody pulp. This jaw-dropping story discovered his younger brother had been crossing some major boundaries with his wife. First off, let me say this is seriously messed up. I can't even imagine the level of betrayal this guy must be feeling. I mean, your own brother? Living under your roof? That's a whole new level of creepy. Now, I'm not an expert, but if I were in his shoes, I'd probably be torn between wanting to protect my wife and feeling responsible for my troubled brother. It's a real tough spot. The story's got me thinking about trust, family dynamics, and what the heck this guy should do next. I mean, do you kick your own brother out, potentially tearing the family apart? Or do you try to get him some help? Anyway, my take? This dude needs to have a serious heart-to-heart with his wife and figure out the best way forward. And as for the brother, well, it might be time for a serious reality check. But seriously, can't wait to see how it unfolds. If you're enjoying this video so far, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. And let me know your thoughts in the comments after the story update. I 38M just found out that my brother 19M has been perving on my wife 37F. I told my wife the next day after posting, and needless to say, she did not take it well. She says she feels violated and unsafe in her own home. See, the thing is my wife and I have been together for almost 15 years, so we literally saw this kid grow up. We took him out to the movies, to the beach, etc. We sometimes even joked to my parents that he was our practice baby. My wife has a tendency to distrust people in general, as a lot of people in her life have let her down in the past. Imagine how hurt and betrayed she was when she found out someone she trusted and loved dearly betrayed her like that. Honestly, if I wasn't counseling my wife then, I probably would have gone through with the initial idea and beat the ever-living crap out of my brother. After she calmed down and went to sleep, I called my sister and talked about the situation. My sister and I are close, given that we're Irish twins. I feel like she needed to know because she has 2 teenage daughters herself, and who knows what my brother would do to them if given the chance. We talked and she was clearly mad. She loves my wife like a sister, and they're quite close themselves. She said she would support whatever decision we make and that our brother would also be unwelcome at her place for the foreseeable future. Then we confronted my brother. At first he denied it, but when I showed him the evidence, he started ugly crying and begging us to forgive him. I gave him an ultimatum. Either he lets me in his phone laptop and delete everything, or I call the police. There was so much more shit on his computer than I initially thought. So many more stolen pictures of my wife that were definitely taken without consent. The fucker even recorded the audio of us having intercourse. Who does that? So after hours of me looking for as much shit as possible, and pretty much clearing most of his hard drive, he eventually left without much of a fight. Oh, and we definitely threw out my wife's defiled underwear, and are most likely going to have the room he stayed in cleaned professionally. I checked, and thankfully he didn't have any hidden cameras anywhere. Oh, and if you're wondering how he got pictures of my wife in a towel, the shower for the masters doesn't have hot water yet, so my wife uses the shared one in the same area. She would usually walk out of the bathroom with just a towel on and go change in our walk-in closet. This shouldn't have been a problem cause the guest bedroom was in a different part of the house far from the main bedrooms, and it had its own bathroom, so my brother had no reason for being there. Needless to say, my wife is still shaken up about the whole thing, which is why I didn't think about writing an update until now. I'm sorry, but my wife's well-being is my priority above anything else. My mom eventually called me asking what happened. She seemed very confused, so I figured my brother didn't tell her anything at all. I told her what happened, and needless to say, it did not end well. She kept asking me to forgive my brother and take him back in. She ranted about how difficult it would be to support him and how what I'm doing is breaking the family apart. I let her talk till I eventually said my brother would no longer be welcome in my home. I told her that she needed to get him therapy and that until then, there's no chance we would ever see him. My mom told me she'd talk to my sister about it, and I said, good luck, she's mad at him too. Not sure what's going to happen to our family now. The reason why we got the big house was because we wanted everyone to come over during the holidays and stay with us, but I'm not sure if my parents will at this point, and there's no chance my brother is ever coming back anytime soon. Thankfully, my sister is 100% on my side, and we're going to talk about what we're doing for Thanksgiving soon. My wife hasn't really been the same either, but she's getting better now that my brother is gone. We're talking about therapy, which is something she's very willing to try out. We took a drive to the beach earlier. Chill guys, we didn't leave the car, and talked about the future. We both agreed that after this whole COVID thing is over, we're going to finally start our family with kids. We want two. Being a mom is something she always wanted, but we both wanted to be financially secure enough to give them a good life, and for us to also be in a position where we didn't have to work so much and just spend time with them. The sparkle in her eyes when we talked about our life together with kids told me that while things aren't good right now, we're going to be okay. I honestly can't wait to be a dad myself. So yeah, long story short, brother is gone, wife is still sad, sister is on my side, but mom isn't, and I'm going to be a dad in a few years. Let's get into comments. User Seikoaki said, I'm glad you guys kicked him out. What he did is disgusting and violating. Your mom trying to convince you to get over it isn't okay either, and completely disrespectful and inconsiderate to your wife, who's the victim here. I wouldn't even feel comfortable being around him ever again if I was her. The idea of my husband's little brother doing that to me is just traumatizing and gross. I'm sorry she had to deal with that. I hope she can overcome it and find peace again. Good luck with the kid, user ThrowRayPoOP replies. Yeah, she's still pretty shaken, but I know this will pass. I'm definitely not going to force the idea of my brother being around her again, even after he gets therapy. And thanks for the kind words. I can't wait to be a dad. User Vanilla Cookie Monster said, I would send a message to your sister letting her know that you spoke with your mom and that your mom is an apologist. It is good that you spoke with your sister first and outlined the details. However, it would be helpful to let her know what you told your mom, especially about not even considering forgiving him until he does, at least a year, of therapy. A large house still means your sister and other family can come over. You may need to find good friends to incorporate into your family circle. Those of us who don't have decent family members find other good people. Wishing you all the best. Next story is on the relationship advice subreddit and was shared by a user, ThrowRaySterile. Story 2. My 28F stepsister 29F slept with my ex-fiancé 37M and married him. It's been 5 years and my family think I should be over it already. When I was 23, now 28, I was engaged to Ryan, was 32, now 37. Our engagement ended when my stepsister Kelly, was 24, now 29, begged me to leave him because they loved each other, but Ryan was too afraid to break up with because he didn't want to hurt me, my family. When I confronted Ryan about it, he denied it, said she had been trying to come on to him for some time, and he never mentioned it because he didn't want to ruin our relationship. He begged me not to believe her, and so we continued how we were. Kelly grew resentful and made nasty comments about how I was forcing a man who didn't even love me to marry me because I had low self-esteem constantly. A month later, she sent me a video of them having intercourse in my bed, and multiple screenshots of him telling her he loved her, how he wished she was the girl he was marrying, how he hated that I wouldn't let them be together. I was devastated and angry, but my best friend convinced me not to go nuclear on them, and instead to quietly move out when Ryan was at work the next week. So that's what I did. I contacted my dad and my stepmom and asked them if I could move in temporarily. I removed the money I had contributed into our joint account for wedding expenses and transferred the rest to him before closing the account. Once I got settled in, I sent all of the screenshots she sent me to all of our relatives and his. Ryan tried to get back together with me multiple times, but I ended up blocking him when I found out he had proposed to her with the same ring he gave me. I left it behind. Now Kelly is my stepsister from my mom's side. I have another stepsister, 36, and stepbrother, 38, from my mom's second marriage, and a half-sister, 26. They all went to the wedding. Whenever I tried to express I was hurt by the fact they were just supporting Kelly Ryan, as though what they did to me meant nothing, they would shrug it off and say they couldn't cut them out completely because they were family. I haven't spent a single holiday with my mom's side since. Neither has my older biological brother or sister. I only see my mom and half-sister when I invite them over to my place, as Kelly Ryan moved in with my mom and my stepdad a year after they got married. Our relationship is very rocky, but I've grown closer to my dad's stepmom and their children, an older stepbrother and 2 younger half-siblings, who have all been very supportive since this all happened, so it's not all been bad. On New Year's Day, my boyfriend, now husband, proposed to me. We had a small engagement party which I invited my mom and half-sister to. They never turned up because I was excluding half of our family. I never invited my stepdad or step-siblings because they were pretty hurtful when it came out that Kelly Ryan were sleeping together. They claimed it wasn't their fault I got in the way of true love and made me out to be some sort of vindictive Disney villain for being angry with them. We were planning to have our wedding ceremony this summer, but in late February, my husband suggested we postponed until next year because he was concerned COVID would get worse and we would have to reschedule anyway. I ended up finding out I was pregnant a month before our original wedding date, so we had a courthouse wedding on that date with the plan to hold the ceremony next year. Only my dad's side of the family were aware of both the pregnancy and the wedding. My stepmom likes to knit, so she's been making some stuff for the baby. Recently, she posted about the things she had made on Facebook with a caption, talking about how excited she was to have another grandchild soon. I was tagged in the post. I have 0 issues with the post. I never told my family I wasn't going to inform my mom's side. It wasn't that I intentionally hid it from her. She just never seemed very interested in my life relationship, so I never brought it up. My mom called me an hour later to demand to know if I was pregnant, and how she couldn't believe I hadn't told her she was finally going to be a grandmother. She has since invited me and my husband over to her house multiple times. I've declined every single time for the obvious reason. My stepdad, who I've barely spoken to in 5 years, has reached out to tell me how excited he is to meet the baby. And my husband. Same with my siblings. Even Kelly reached out to my husband to congratulate us. I was furious. The next time my mom and stepdad called me, I finally laid into them. I told them I didn't want them to keep inviting me over when they knew I would be forced to see Kelly Ryan if I came. I told them how hurt and angry I still am over what they did to me, and how my family dismissed my feelings. I told them how they wouldn't throw Kelly Ryan away, but they were so quick to leave me out to rot whilst I was going through the worst betrayal I'd ever experienced in my life. I told them I wasn't even sure I wanted people like them in my child's life. My mom was crying hysterically and kept saying I was being cruel, and I couldn't deprive her of her first grandchild. The thing is, my baby isn't her first grandchild. My sister has 2 adopted daughters already, who my mom doesn't even try to bond with. She kept wailing about how I might be the only person in our family to even give her grandchildren. My stepsisters are both having a hard time staying pregnant, and my half-sister has proclaimed herself to be child-free. My stepdad got angry and defensive. He claimed I was petty for holding on to something that happened 5 years ago. He pointed out how I had found someone else so I should understand how love works, and sometimes 2 people just can't help themselves. You love who you love, basically. He said Kelly Ryan were happy together, so I should be happy for them the way they're happy for me and my husband. The ironic thing is, my sister told me Kelly Ryan looked like they were on the verge of divorce, and they argue constantly. My mom complains to her about them, and how my siblings all hate him but pretend they like him for Kelly's sake. I ended up hanging up because I was so angry, and when I get angry I start crying. I didn't want them to think they got to me. Since I've been receiving texts and calls nonstop from my mom's family, they're all essentially telling me I should be over things already. It's gotten to the point me and my husband have switched phones so he can screen my messages for me, and I don't have to read them. So, get this. The OP was engaged to this guy, Ryan, right? Then, her stepsister Kelly pulls some wild move, begs her to leave the dude, and ends up marrying him. Now, it's been 5 years, and the OP's got a whole new life, married with a baby on the way. But here's the kicker. Her mom's side of the family, including Kelly and Ryan, want to come back into her life like nothing happened. Honestly, I get why she's upset. I mean, video evidence of betrayal, a messy breakup, and now the audacity to act like it's water under the bridge? No way. And now they're bombarding her, saying she should be over it by now. Seriously? This is the kind of drama you can't just shake off. The mom and stepdad are playing the guilt card, claiming she's depriving them of their first grandchild, but hold up. She's not their first grandchild's mom. In my opinion, the OP's got every right to set boundaries. I mean, who wants toxic people around during such a happy time? And can we talk about the switcheroo with the phones? Genius move. But seriously, guys, what would you do in this mess? Drop your thoughts below. User Space Jesus is here said. I speak from personal experience when I say that having toxic family members in a child's life is much, much worse than not having them there at all. My grandparents, dad's side, always talked poorly about my mom when they babysat me as a kid. It put some awful ideas in my head and led to a lot of pain and sadness for my mom as I repeated some terrible things I didn't understand. I know you would feel guilty if you cut your family off, but you can't put your own feelings over the well-being of your child. Letting people who very clearly don't respect you into your child's life is a choice you will almost certainly come to regret, OP. Don't do that to your kid, please. This group of people includes a woman who stole your fiancé and adults who blamed you for having a problem with it. Do you really think these people are going to be good influences on your child? User Raricide replies, OP really dodged a bullet with that Ryan character. He was 10 years older to both the sisters, which makes his actions even worse because you can't blame it on him being barely adult. I would not be surprised if he's still trying to play the poor me, I'm married to a monster card to get with other women outside his marriage to stepsis. What an absolute slime bag. User NomadRuby7 said, cut them the F out. You deserve so much better. Also, I'm extremely heated that Kelly sent you a video of them having intercourse that's absolutely horrible, and I'm so sorry these people betrayed you like this. WTF is wrong with people not thinking adopted children don't count. I'm planning on fostering to adopt, and so many people talk about, don't you want real kids? Yeah, I want real kids, which is why I'm adopting living human children instead of a doll. Adopted kids are more family than blood relatives because you choose them every day. Before ending the video, let's have a mood booster story. Exercising changed my life. On August 2022, I, 31M, decided to drastically change my lifestyle. A bit of a backstory. I got into an unhealthy lifestyle since really all my life, but working in IT made it worse because sitting all day makes you extremely lazy. My eating habits went downhill over the years. This includes eating easily 2,000-calorie meals for lunch, 0 to non-existent exercise, being lazy, excluding myself from socializing. Since that particular August, I started taking steps. I contacted a dietitian, which of course said I should change my lunch, who would have thought, and helped me with some other choices. At my worst point, I was weighing 115 kilogram, 178 centimeter tall, and a body fat percentage of around 34%. The first month obviously was not going too smooth, but I got by and saw small improvements. A couple of months later, I was at 109 kilogram, and then things got on automatic, and I dropped my dietitian because there wasn't much else they could help me with. Fast forward to July 2023, my weight was around 97 kilogram, and I had trouble getting it down. So I started looking for other ways, and discovered what I now see as a life-changing decision, CrossFit. This helped me to improve my weight and gain muscle, but that's not all something I didn't expect happen. I realized I enjoyed exercising, something I never ever experienced in my life. I always dreaded sport at school. Things were going fast. I dropped more weight till 87 kilogram, and then hit a plateau. My weight is now stable on this. Important to note is that I gained more muscle. My body fat now is about 21–22%. But since I started to enjoy CrossFit, I explored more of their classes, and it happened to be that they had a class for running, goal to do a 10 miles. I signed up and started doing a run class a week from October on, and found out that I love it and even from the start could run a decent pace. This changed me in so many ways. Running really brought me inner happiness and strength. I decided to sign up for running events. My first one was just for fun with no competition, a city run of 6 kilometers. I was unlucky and got sick 2 weeks before the run and couldn't train. Still finished the run, but was exhausted. Yet, it was pleasant. And last weekend, I did my first race of 10 kilometers in the cold. It was really amazing. I had to deal with inner doubts during the race and overcome some struggles. Wasn't prepared at all for the uphill climbs, but I finished and received a cool medal. All in all, I would like to say, I discovered that exercise is not to look good, but to feel good. And I will continue my journey to a healthier and happier me by going further. I have some new challenges set for myself, like doing a half marathon this year. In short, I like to note I left out a lot of other achievements and misery I had during this periods, but this also happened. Moved to a new town, got my associate degree in programming, lost both my grandfathers in between a year, bought my own place, I hit rock bottom due to anxiety, and the story above has had the biggest impact on overcoming this anxiety. As this is my journey, I still hope it will inspire someone And if I knew this in my 20s or even earlier, I would have made this choice back then. It triggered me to have so much more goals in life, and the enjoyment is difficult to describe, but so worth it. Just become better every day. Just 1% better. As we finish this Reddit story, if you liked the video, please give it a thumbs up and think about subscribing for more interesting Reddit tales. Your support is greatly appreciated, and I look forward to having you in the next video.